So here's the five different seating or chairs or seating options that I chose for the design matrix. The first of which being outdoor seating in front of one of my more favorite Mexican restaurants, Los Camarones. Very good burritos, by the way. I selected this one, comfort. This one's comfort at a 7. Surprisingly, although they do look uncomfortable, they are surprisingly comfortable. The padding on the seat seems to still have some cushion, despite it not looking like that. The cost I put at a 6 just because it doesn't seem too intricate of a design or too extravagant of a design. It seems like a very simple frame with a simple chair attached to it that swivels and a very basic, modest tabletop. For environmental impacts, I put it a 4 just because the tabletop is starting to fray and fall apart with a cork-like material. Can't imagine that being too too good for the environment. So outside of that, everything seems to be holding true. Safety, I did put it at 2 just because the table is starting to fray and fall apart. Primarily, the thought that came to mind was children, eating a lot of that material that is falling off of the tabletop. Outside of that, everything seems to be fine. Safe sustainability, I did put it a 1 just because, as mentioned before, it is falling apart. Social impact, I put it a 6 because there are several of these tables out front of this restaurant. And there have been instances where patrons who are all waiting for their food have engaged in conversation, and it does seem like a very welcoming environment. Function, I put it a 4, just because these chairs are designed to swivel. Some of them do perfectly fine, others are a little more stiff, and then as well as the tabletops coming apart, they're not very convenient to eat on top of at times. And the aesthetic being 1, just because the colors are kind of clashing, it doesn't really seem there is much of uh, too deep of thought into the design, and the tables again falling apart. Front yard chair here serves its purpose sometimes when I do sit out front. If I'm doing some reading or I just want to soak up some sun, this is a good spot to sit. Comfort, I put it a 5 just because although it is a nice warm environment, in the mornings, it is a plastic chair at the end of the day. They're not very comfortable. They're more for convenience. Cost, I put it a 10 just because they are plastic chairs. The intention behind these designs were to cut costs and be a more wallet friendly option. Environmental impact, I put it a 5 just because although they are plastic and can be recycled, I'm not sure how that necessarily would work when it comes to actually disposing of them. In theory, yes, they are plastic and should be recycled, but chances are that's usually not the case. Um, So safety, I put it a 6 just because for the most part you can sit down and enjoy a seat. However, there are times where over time when the sun is beating on these long enough, the plastic starts to weaken and they can break on you. Sustainability, 2, just because as mentioned before, they were built for convenience, not to last. Social impact, I put it a 4 just because it is designed to the specific purpose that I have this one is to just sit in the front porch and enjoy just what's in front of me. However, if neighbors do walk by, they do wave and you can say your highs and byes. Function 6, it serves its purpose. There's really nothing too intricate about it. You sit down and that's pretty much it. And the aesthetic is, I put it at 3 just because it is a plastic chair. They're not very appealing when it comes to their design. Next, we have a lecture hall on ASU campus. So here I put comfort at a 5 just because these seats are very closely compacted together. There's not a lot of room, especially if we have a full class. Um, it's very, we're all packed in together pretty tightly, so it's not too comfortable. Um, Outside of that, the padding seems to be wearing a little bit as well. Cost, I can't imagine them being too expensive, just because, they are university chairs and designed to last. So the cost of what it is to implement these, maintain them, what have you, I can't imagine being too costly, if you will. Environmental impact, I put it a five. This one is just because they seem to be built to last. These seem like they have been there for kind of a while. Um, well, one of the things that tells me that is just that the color choice that they use here doesn't seem like that's anything from anything too modern. Um, so and I don't really see too many of these getting replaced either. I would imagine that the university would hold on to these as long as possible. Let's see here. Social impact seven, just because it is a classroom setting, so if you are engaging with your peers in the course material, you have that option. Function, I put it a seven as well, just because it does have a very convenient little tabletop side attachment that is very well hidden. So it serves its purpose as a little small desk top for you to put your notebook on, take your notes, put your laptops, what have you. It is a seven just because it is very compacted. You don't have a lot of leg room when you do pull that out. And aesthetic, I put it the seven just because they do serve their purpose. They are nicely, neatly packed in. However, the color choice doesn't seem to have any real thought, and it seems pretty random. So that's why I put that. Next, we have a park swing here for comfort. I never found these too comfortable. I can't really sit on these for too long without being, okay, I got my use out of the swing. I'm good to get off. So I did put it at a four. Cost at a five, just because it seems like a pretty basic design. There's nothing intricate or extravagant about it. Simple frame with some swings attached to it. Environmental impact, they are heavily used just because the traffic that does come through the park, they are used quite often. So I could imagine that these, kind of wearing down a little bit more than some that aren't being as used. And I have seen instances where these have been replaced pretty frequently. Safety, I put it in eight just because they are above some wood chips, which are designed to cushion the fall of anybody that, happens to fall. And if anyone is like me when we were kids, we weren't really using swings just to swing. It was always, let's see how far we can jump. Let's see all the crazy cool things we can do whilst jumping off of a swing, right? So the wood chips do help with providing some cushion there, as well as this baby seating swing here does have, it's a standard swing that does provide a little more security for, small children. Sustainability, let's see here. I did put at a six just because it is metal frame. I can't imagine this really going out anytime soon. Um, Despite the heavy traffic being used. Social impact nine. There are two here, and they are amidst the park. So typically, when the park is pretty condensed, people are engaging in conversation with one another. And there are two designed. It is designed for two people to swing and talk with one another. Function. They serve their purpose. Their swings. They seem to work just fine. They're both attached to some chains. There's really nothing too intricate about that as well. So they serve their purpose. They don't seem to have any issues with them from what I've seen. And anytime that there is any problems with any chains, it does seem like the city does come through regularly to inspect everything. And if there is any problems, they are replaced pretty quickly. Aesthetic, I put it a seven, just because it's a pretty simple, modest design. There's nothing too wild or unique about it, but nothing that's too much of an eyesore, if you will. Well, and last but not least, we have a park bench that's actually in within that same park, just a little bit of ways away. For comfort, I put it a six because, although it is a hard surfaced chair or bench, if you will, you can find yourself sitting on these for a good bit if engaged in some good conversation or, there is a little grilling area that's in front of it. So, if grilling area and like a little patio awning for with some more benches there. So if you're having a cookout at the park, you could find yourself sitting here, having some conversation, and the discomfort of this isn't too intense, if you will. The cost, I can't imagine it being too costly, just because it does seem like a pretty simple, basic, modest design. It's a bench, and there's nothing too unique about it. That's groundbreaking, or there wasn't too much provocation of thought when it came to finding out the good, the best design for this. It was okay. Let's create a good bench that can seat multiple people, and put it in the very convenient spot that they can engage with others. Is the intention or the idea that I see behind this. So I can't imagine that being too costly. Environmental impact. It is metal and plastic, so environmentally speaking, I can't imagine it being the best, but because these do seem that they are built to last, I can't imagine it being, can't imagine it going anywhere anytime soon. Safety, I put it in 8 just because, pretty low to the ground. If you hurt yourself on one of these, you probably were doing something that you should not have been doing. So I see these pretty safe to sit on. They seem pretty sturdy from my experience when I've sat on these. Sustainability 6, just because although they are again plastic and metal, um, they seem like they are built to last. They are pretty sturdy. The frame seems pretty solid. The foundation around them, the dirt or the grass or what have you, it's not very loose, not very. It seems like it's well taken care of. So I could see this standing for a good bit of time in the future. Social impact, I put it at 9 just because, as mentioned, just in front of it, there is a patio awning with a grill. And so, also, if you take all of those factors aside, just and take the bench for what it is alone, it does seem like there is enough seating for at the very least 3 people. So if you're sitting with some friends, family, what have you, you can all sit on a park bench and engage in conversation while, your dogs play, your kids play, what have you. Function, put it in 8. Um, it serves its purpose. There's really nothing flashy or fancy about it. It's a bench that's sat in the park and facing the park so you can look at what's in front of you and observe it. It serves its purpose. And the aesthetic, I put at a 7. It seems like, although it does match the environment that it's in, it is a pretty basic, modest design, nothing intricate or extravagant about it. So yeah, these are the 5 different seating choices that I picked for the design matrix, and the insight or ideas that I had behind the intention and the factors that played into this design matrix. Hope that gave some insights, and